So when my friend Judy Rosenberg asked me to speak at today's conference, she said, "We want to hear about A Woman's Nation and all the work that you're doing." Well, A Woman's Nation is the nonprofit organization that I run, and it's the successor to the Women's Conference organization that I was the executive director of for the 7 years that Maria Shriver was First Lady of California. Our annual conferences were meant to inspire and inform and empower women, and our work under A Woman's Nation, we're still seeking to raise awareness and ignite conversations about issues that are important to women and their families in America. We create multimedia initiatives that thoroughly examine an issue and reveal the accurate information, the personal stories that put the face to the facts, and the tools and resources that become the solutions. The video that you just saw is an introduction to our most recent project, and the one that Judy was referring to when she said, "Let's come and talk about that." The Shriver Report, A Woman's Nation Pushes Back from the Brink. But I was thinking, is this something that I want to go and talk about to this group? I wasn't really aware of womentoring other than, Julie talking about it once in a while. So I thought, I better look into it a little bit more. So I started reading about what you do, and I thought, wow, this is perfect. That documentary, little short that you just saw would really resonate. But then about 3 months later, which was not that long ago, Catherine Moore of JVS called me and said, "Oh, what you're supposed to be talking about is your personal journey, your accomplishments, the road you traveled to get to where you are, identifying your obstacles, your difficulties, your challenges along the way, and then identifying your mentors and your teachers and your guides." Well, that was a much different request than what Judy had asked me. My so-called journey is something that I don't normally speak about, not because I'm hiding anything, but because I'm not really sure what my journey is or how I got to where I am, and most of the time I'm not even sure where I am. So I know there's a reason that I'm standing here in front of you. Maybe I'm surprisingly perceived as someone who does interesting work and perhaps has met interesting people along the way that has inspiring stories to tell. That might be the case. I hope so, but I don't know. I feel like I'm a mess half the time, and I know that from talking to women all over the country that they feel that way too, so I'm no different. I'm going to try to do, though, what both Judy and Catherine had asked me, because I think my journey over at least the past 10 years, has opened my eyes to great teachers in the most unlikeliest of places. Most unlikely of places, that is. So here we go. Now, I don't have that personal journey story that starts the way that Rachel's does. I did not have that kind of discipline. My story does not start with my father told me that I could do anything I wanted if I just set my mind to it. And when I accept my Oscar, I will not start by saying what it seems that everybody says. I thank my mother for believing in me and encouraging me to go out and find my own purpose and explore the world and come back and do something fantastic. I didn't have that. My mom was afraid of everything. She was afraid of anything she didn't know, anything that was new or novel. And my dad worked all the time. So the thought of my mom especially encouraging me to go out and find my purpose was like that was not going to happen, and it didn't. I was raised by loving and kind parents who valued fairness and honesty, but that was about as far as it went in terms of, disciplining. I mean, we were in great shape as a family, but nobody learned to play the piano, and and my kids, no one plays the piano either. So I did not get that thing that passed down to me, and I didn't pass it to mine. But anyway, I'm not a piano player. So I did eventually find someone who inspired me, though, to think for myself. And that came in the form of Sister Joan. But before I got to Sister Joan, the mentor, I had to get through Sister Evangelist, the tormentor. Unlike most of you here, maybe all of you, I attended parochial school for 12 years. I was the president of my K through 8 elementary school. And, well, that's until my vice president, Jim Gibson, and I were summarily impeached for being too confrontational. Apparently, our repeated attempts to seek justice when we believed our fellow students had been wrongly punished were seen as inappropriately challenging authority. And when I tried to appeal our impeachment to the principal, Sister Evangelist, saying, Ben Franklin said it is the first responsibility of every citizen to question authority. She just sort of looked at me and said, he wasn't talking about 8th graders. So Jim and I left office immediately, never to return. There hasn't been student government at St. Christopher's School for the last 42, 3, 4 years, depending about how old I am. I could write a book about everything I ever learned about rigidity and intolerance from Sister Evangelist, but I won't burden you with that right now. Maybe the next time I come and speak, I will have just finished that book. But my relief from Sister Evangelist came in the form of Sister Joan 3 years later. In my junior year at my all-girls high school, I decided to test out Ben Franklin's maxim again. I tried to repeal a school rule that we had that you couldn't wear a skirt shorter than 2 inches above your knee. Now, it was the 1970s, sort of like the second half of the 1970s. My God, what were we wearing? Mini skirts, hot pants. We were wearing hot pants then. But fortunately, it was Sister Joan who handled Erin, the troublemaker, this time. Erin, if you want to question the rules, make it count. Without judging, she asked me, does the length of your skirt really matter? Will it improve someone else's life if you wear a short skirt? Challenge the issues, Erin, that make a difference. Okay, she was a nun. That was easy for her to say. She had made peace with skirts below her knee a long time ago. But she also really made an impact on me. She didn't reprimand me. She offered me the opportunity to think for myself. She didn't tell me to stop the nonsense with the skirt. She just asked me to think out beyond what was in front of me. So that was lesson number 1 from mentor number 1. Well, probably any of us here think that skirt length does matter. And hair length, maybe hair length matters more. And what about hair color? Let's be honest. When your roots are showing, you really don't feel as good about yourself as when they're not. It doesn't matter what color your roots are. Hair color matters. I bet if I would have ripped off Sister Evangelist's habit, remember those white things that they wore, I would have found colored hair. But back to the job at hand here. It's one of those truisms about women. Women care about their hair. And what I found over these past 10 years, working with, on, and behalf of women, women care mostly about the same things, regardless of their age, their place in life, their stage in life. What really matters to most of us is our families, our communities, our career, our health, and our finances. While there's certainly differences among women, most of our lives are jam-packed, just trying to do our best, feel our best, look our best, while we're juggling our various roles and meeting our challenges as a woman in modern-day America. For those of us who've had the benefit of a good education and a stable family, we're more likely to overcome our struggles and reach our goals than those who haven't had those benefits. And not surprising, if we don't have the education and support, we're more likely to fall into financial insecurity or on the brink, as the women that you just saw in the clip. But regardless of where we are economically, most of us, American women, are living similar lives. Harried, stressed, working, caretaking, giving to others, and sometimes, quite often, living paycheck to paycheck. The differences between all of us as women are relatively slim. but what we all need is good time, flexible work schedules, validation, some good communication. Yet the difference between what all American women need and what America actually provides to what America actually gives us, it's huge. The difference between what we need and what the nation's institutions provide is huge. The truth is, government, business, media, and faith organizations are largely out of touch with the realities of today's families, and that reflects on all of us. That is where our recent work has been about, examining the status of women in America, seeking to push the national conversation past the numbers and into the heart of the lives of women as they live every day. Our research for A Woman's Nation Pushes Back from the Brink revealed that a full third of Americans, including 42 million women and their 28 million dependent children, teeter on the brink of poverty. So what did we find? Well, you know what? I think what I'll do is read a little bit of the opening chapter from our Shriver report. This is the print edition of that book. The new iconic image of the economically insecure American is a working mother dashing around, getting ready in the morning, brushing her kid's hair with one hand, and doling out medication to her own aging mother with the other. She knows she's just a single incident, one broken bone, one broken down car, one missed paycheck away from the brink. And she's not crazy to feel that way. Wages. Women are nearly 2/3 of the minimum wage workers in this country. Sick leave. More than 70% of low-wage workers get no paid sick days. They don't show up, they don't work. They don't work, they don't get paid. Equal pay. American women are approximately half of all workers in this country, but the average woman earns only 77% of what a man earns for the same work. 77% of what a man makes. If we close the wage gap between men and women, we would add $500 billion to our GDP and at the same time cut poverty in half for women. Childcare. The US is the only industrialized nation in the world that doesn't have mandatory childcare. These are simply outdated policies, and they especially limit the capacity of women and their potential. There's a great irony to this story. At the same time that millions of women are struggling financially, more and more women are as powerful as they have ever been. There are more women who have completed higher education, more women who are workers, more women who are primary breadwinners, more women who are entrepreneurs, more women who control their household budgets, more voters, more members of Congress. All of these metrics, powerful. That's what it sounds like. But at the same time, women are still struggling far more than they should. 1 in 3 adult women in America is living in or on the brink of poverty. That's powerless. What is this all about? Well, some would say it's just straight out discrimination. But I've never taken to name calling. It usually, it never moves the conversation forward, and it typically derails it, and then nothing gets done. So we examined what's going on. What is going on? Well, we found 3 major cultural shifts that have taken place with no corresponding modernization to the nation's infrastructure. Work, family, education. Work. While women represent a majority of college students and 2/3 of families include women who work, women are also more likely to work in poor paid jobs. Caregiving occupations, poorly paid service workers, that leads to financial insecurity. Even though these job sectors like fast food restaurant and senior living workers are among the fastest growing in the United States, they lack living wages and benefits. These jobs and the women who do them are seriously undervalued. Families. The American family has permanently changed, with women increasingly heading up more families on their own. The new normal is far removed from the nuclear family today. Today's families are far more likely than ever before to include single mothers, to be cohabiting unmarried parents, and multi-generational families, in which the woman is both the caregiver and the provider, or the provided and the provided for. Over 40% of all children born today and 50% of children born to women under 30 are born to single mothers. And nearly 75% of unmarried births are to women who are living on poverty or on the brink of it. Education. For women, a post-high school degree is the only ticket to middle class. But that education is increasingly harder to get and more expensive. So these three huge cultural transformations have dramatically changed the lives of American women over the past 50 years, and they're interconnected, and low-income women bear the brunt. During the course of our work, we spoke with, met with, and surveyed thousands of women on the brink. The vast majority of these women wish they had prioritized their education, avoided debt, taken better care of their health, gotten out of a bad relationship or a marriage earlier, and delayed getting married in the first place. But despite all that, these challenges and obstacles, we found that economically vulnerable women remained resilient and optimistic. 62% of those polled and 79% of single mothers believe that their financial situation will improve in the next 5 years. 87% of the women we polled believed that they have the ability to make significant changes to make their lives better. I'll bet those of you who mentor people through your program here have found the same sort of resilience with those who are entering the job market after not working for 50 years, like some of us I know. So many of the women I met are inspiring, and I found many, many mentors among them. I identified with them, and you would too. The same things that matter to them matter to us. In fact, what we found is that it isn't about us and them anymore. We are them. We are the nation of women who need our major institutions to adjust to the changes in the American family. So what do we do about this? Our work promotes a three-part equation: government, business, and personal. And each of these is as important as the other. There's no way that government or business or we are going to do it alone. Government can do more to ensure that women get equal pay for equal work. No one admits that they're against this, yet we still don't have it. Government can mandate family leave, and they can mandate raising the minimum wage. And there's momentum around this, which is great, but we still don't have it. Business can do more. Businesses that employ low-wage workers must provide adequate benefits, flexibility, sick leave, job autonomy, and continuing education opportunities. Let the women train for the higher-paid jobs. Let them be the leaders. And finally, women themselves. Women themselves can do more to ensure their own success and that of other women. We need to insist on healthy relationships. Don't put up with someone who holds you back. Don't get married before you have financial security. For sure, don't get married when you're in debt, because everyone in that category that we found winds up divorced and broke. We need to get smart about our finances and the financial outcomes that will follow our choices, especially career choices and personal choices. And this is for everyone, no matter where you are. Develop a positive relationship with money. Teach your daughters and your nieces and your mentees how to budget and read a financial statement. Don't, in the name of love, treat your daughters differently than your sons. Girls need to be prepared to be the provider, in addition to the provided for. And if they get, I'm going to take a drink before I say this. if they get eyebrow shaping, waxing, haircuts, hair color, designer bags while they're living under your roof, and they don't know how that translates into income, they're going to be in a sad place later in life. And it's interesting, excuse me, but are you holding something up for me to see? I can't see it. What? Oh. But you were standing there like 15 minutes ago. Okay. Thank you. Should I wrap up? Okay. Okay, so let's talk about education. We're talking now about what women can do. So some of these things you can do, some of them you can encourage your mentees, your children, your friends to do, and some of them, we're past that part of our lives, but it's something that we all have to do and be aware of. So education, put education first. Achieving your highest educational goals before taking on the added joys and responsibilities and headaches of motherhood. Refrain from nudging your daughter to give you a grandchild before she's ready. If she's in a career, let her go on in her career before she is pressured to give you a grandchild. I don't have a daughter, so it's easy for me to say. I have 3 sons, and I would really like them to get a girlfriend and then a wife and then a grandchild, but okay. And then of course, vote. Vote for candidates who support modern family programs. If they say they support sick leave policy, then, make sure you hold them to it after they're elected. Be a good boss. We just can't go get a weekly blow dry and then underpay our housekeepers. Yes, we know hair matters, but so does valuing the hard work of women that you employ. Now, this is something that's very, very simple to do. It's perhaps a bit controversial, I'm told, but when you travel, remember to tip your room attendant, a huge percentage of which are women on the brink. A tip of $2 a day per room would get her off the brink. We've just launched, Women's Nation just launched a campaign called The Envelope Please that provides a branded envelope in hundreds of thousands of hotel rooms and hopefully millions of hotel rooms. It's just asking for one, gesture of your gratitude for these people who work very, very hard cleaning up after us while we're on the road. Marriott was our inaugural partner, and they have become the laughingstock, and even Jimmy Fallon had a little sign up on his desk yesterday that was a little envelope, and it said, "We're Marriott, we don't pay our housekeepers enough, so we want you to chip in." I mean, that wasn't the intention. The intention is giving people a little simple solution of something that they could do to help. And here's the big one. And that's why I'm glad I didn't wrap up yet. Don't judge other women. Just ask Katrina Gilbert what that feels like. So Katrina was featured in our HBO documentary, Paycheck to Paycheck, which tells the story of a year in the life of a mother whose daily struggles illuminate the challenges faced by millions more. At one point in the documentary, Katrina, a divorced, loving mother of 2, who works minimum 12 hours a day in nursing homes, receives her very first earned income tax credit of $700. This was cause for great celebration. Katrina bought medication that she and her children had done without. She bought a book for each of her children, and she prepaid 2 weeks of child care. And she got her hair colored. Katrina had never been to a hairdresser. And guess what the only criticism was of the 200 women who were asked about the film after they'd seen it? How could she have spent that money on getting her hair colored? Women were really bothered by that. They were judging her because she did what we all do. think that our hair matters. Katrina overheard these comments at one of the premieres of the documentary. She was in the ladies' room, and that's always a place to go find out how you're doing after you've done something, or you've, premiered your movie and you want to hear how people really think about it. You go in the restroom and you listen to what's going on in the stalls on either side of you. And Katrina, not knowing that, did it accidentally, and she heard this kind of criticism. She came out and she said to me, "I just wanted to look as good as I feel about getting the money back that I had earned." Why would someone fault me for that? Why? Because those women forgot who they are. They're us, just like Katrina and her 42 million sisters. So does all of this matter? Does all of this pass the Sister Joan test? I think so. Engaging all women in the effort to support and empower each other matters. And getting our institutions in sync with our modern culture matters to our nation's economy, and it matters to us, and it matters to what it says about us as a nation. I'd say it matters a lot. So thank you for listening, and hopefully maybe something that I said will resonate with you, and there's one little takeaway. That would be, success on as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much.